Why do some men seem unbreakable on the outside, yet inside they're fighting silent wars? What truly shatters a man? The noise of the world or the quiet echoes in his mind? Why do we keep circling back to what hurts us, even when we know it's a trap? If you're a man, you've probably felt that tug of invisible wounds after a breakup. You might think you're fine, but the ache lingers, gnawing at the edges of your confidence. That lingering ache isn't just heartbreak. It's a door opening to buried memories from childhood, to moments where you felt unseen or unheard. These early experiences plant seeds that only sprout when the surface feels threatened, like a breakup. Imagine standing on a rooftop, looking at the city lights below. The skyline looks steady, but beneath each building, there's a network of wires, some frayed, some intact. The wires are the memories we carry. A breakup is a gust that rattles the rooftop. For some, the gust knocks the fragile wires loose, exposing hidden cracks that were never noticed before. That's why the pain feels deeper than the loss of a partner. It's the resurfacing of a forgotten childhood fracture. You might have seen friends who, after a breakup, suddenly become withdrawn or angry. They're not just grieving a lost relationship. They're confronting unresolved feelings from a time when they learned to suppress emotions to survive. The breakup triggers a chain reaction. The mind rewrites the narrative, pulling in those old patterns, and the pain magnifies. It's like a mirror reflecting not only the present loss, but also a lifetime of unspoken hurts. In the next moments, you'll uncover a hidden truth that no one has ever told you. You'll learn that a breakup isn't just a break. It's a catalyst that forces the mind to revisit the roots of who we are. Understanding this connection can help you untangle the knots that keep you stuck, letting you heal not just from a breakup, but from the childhood wounds that have been waiting in the shadows. The glass had shown in the surface, a cracked reflection of a heart that no longer matched the world outside. Yet beneath that fractured image lay a deeper fissure, one that had been widening since childhood, a slow erosion that only a breakup could finally expose. He remembered the first time he felt a sudden, inexplicable ache after a father's stern lecture, the way his brother had shrugged off the same feeling with a joke, and how, in those moments, he'd swallowed the pain, told himself it was just a phase, and walked away from it like a stone tossed into a pond. It was as if he'd been pushing his own soul into a dim, sealed room, hoping the silence would mute the screams. Men are taught, from the moment they first learn to walk, that vulnerability is a weakness. Speak up, the world says, but the echo that follows is often a hollow, unsteady whisper. He realized that silence was not a sign of strength, but a shield, a way to keep the storm inside until it bursts. The storm had been building, and the storm was finally coming. He began to ask himself questions that cut deeper than any conversation could. When did he first doubt his own worth? In which moment did he realize that no one could be trusted with the rawness of his heart? Why did the fear of failing feel far heavier than the fear of suffering? These questions were not simple riddles. They were keys to a locked room he had never dared to enter. He could feel the walls closing in, the air thick with the scent of old regrets and unspoken promises. The truth that lay within was uncomfortable, yet it was also the only way to breathe again. The realization that most men, when confronted with failure, choose to retreat rather than confront the underlying fear was a chilling revelation. Failure was no longer a solitary defeat. It was a mirror reflecting a life of suppressed emotions, a mirror that had been ignored for too long. The darkness that had settled around his thoughts was not an absence of light, but a warning that he was about to walk into a space that would either break him or set him free. As he stood at the threshold of that shadowed room, the air felt electric, charged with possibility. The next steps would require more than just acceptance. They would demand a confrontation with the very core of his identity. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the promise of healing, of finally untangling the knots that had kept him chained to past, was a beacon that drew him forward. He slipped past the threshold, the darkness swallowing him like a familiar cloak. Inside, the room was dimly lit by a single flickering bulb, its glow casting long, wavering shadows across the walls. The silence here was not the absence of sound, but a heavy, oppressive presence that pressed against his chest, demanding attention. It was in this stillness that the truth began to surface. What truly devours a man is not the external problem, but the quiet that follows it. The male brain, wired to hunt solutions rather than feel emotions, has always been a tool for action. When faced with unresolved feelings, it retreats into silence, believing that silence is a shield. Yet this very silence corrodes the psyche, eroding resilience and sowing seeds of despair. He felt the weight of that truth settle, like a stone in his gut. The realization hit him with the force of a sudden thunderclap. Most men carry unspoken emotions that, over time, erode them more than any failure or loss ever could. He paused, listening to the hollow echo that seemed to reverberate from the walls themselves. The quiet was a mirror, reflecting back the fragments of himself he had long hidden. The fear that made his shoulders tense, the disappointment that made his jaw ache, the grief that made his eyes sting. He remembered, almost involuntarily, the nights he'd smiled at friends, pretending everything was fine, while inside he was unraveling. The room seemed to breathe with him, a silent witness to the cracks he had built around his heart. In the corner, a small wooden box lay untouched. He approached it, fingers trembling. Inside, a handful of faded photographs, each a memory of a moment when he felt vulnerable, his first kiss, a quiet conversation with mother, a moment of tears he had hidden behind a grin. He realized that these were the very moments that had built the silence, the ones he never allowed himself to feel fully, never allowed himself to speak of. A thought crept in, like a whisper through the dark. True strength, the kind that does not merely endure everything, but recognizes what destroys you in silence, is not about suppressing pain but confronting it. The room, with its oppressive quiet, became a crucible. He could either stay trapped within its walls, letting silence gnaw at him, or he could step forward, open the box, and let the memories flood back, acknowledging them, feeling them, and then letting them go. He lifted the lid, and the air filled with the scent of old paper and dust, a scent that felt oddly comforting. He looked at each photograph, and for the first time, he let himself feel the full spectrum of his emotions: joy, sorrow, fear, hope, without the urge to mask them. The silence that had once felt like a prison now felt like a quiet companion, reminding him that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a gateway to true resilience. With a slow, deliberate breath, he closed the box, the lid clicking shut. The room seemed to breathe in tandem, a subtle acknowledgement that he had begun to break the cycle. The silence was no longer a threat. It was a space where he could process, heal, and ultimately find the strength that had always lived within him, waiting for the moment to surface. The lid's click reverberated like a small, final promise that whatever weight he had carried would no longer be a secret to his own chest. The room, once a silent witness to his turmoil, now hummed with a quiet possibility. In that hush, he could hear the faint thrum of his own heart, steady and unhurried, as if it finally found its rhythm again. He had long carried an invisible war, a battle fought in the corners of his mind where fear and doubt coalesced. The weight of expectations, of the unspoken rules that had dictated how he should act, had been a constant companion. Yet in the stillness, he realized that the fiercest battles are those we fight alone. The quiet was not emptiness. It was a space where he could confront the shadows that had lingered beneath his everyday life. The old box, once a symbol of confinement, now seemed to represent a threshold crossed. Inside its lid lay not just the tangible items he had hidden away, but the pieces of his own narrative that he had long refused to acknowledge. By closing it, he had chosen to let those pieces rest, to give himself permission to heal without the pressure of immediate judgment. A question lingered in his mind, echoing the thought that had been haunting him. What do you carry that no one else knows? He understood that many men, like him, keep their scars behind a stoic facade, never letting anyone see the raw edges that define them. The realization was both liberating and unsettling. The freedom to admit vulnerability could be the very thing that sets him free from the invisible war that had kept him in a perpetual state of unrest. In the dim glow of the room, he felt the faint tug of a new resolve. He was no longer bound by the silent expectations of society. He could now speak his truth, even if it meant confronting uncomfortable truths about himself. The silence that once felt threatening had transformed into a companion, guiding him toward a deeper understanding of his own resilience. If this narrative has touched a chord within you, let it be a reminder that you are not alone in carrying unseen burdens. There is a vast landscape of the male mind that remains uncharted, waiting to be explored. Keep delving, keep questioning, and keep allowing yourself to feel the weight of those hidden wars. The journey toward healing is a continuous one, and every step forward is a testament to the strength that has always lived within you, ready to surface when you dare to listen.